In both China and Tibet, it is well known that the most advanced spiritual practitioners leave no bodies after the time of death, and this represents the achievement of whole body enlightenment. Padmasambhava was a legendary Mahasiddha, considered to be the founder of Tibetan Buddhism. The lineage that he started in the 8th century has a particular phenomenon known as the body of light associated with it, in which, when the meditator dies, his physical body shrinks away to nothing within a few days. Practitioners of the primordial yoga system originally transmitted by Padmasambhava continue to experience the post-mortem dissolution of the body in modern times. Ramalinga in India, Jesus of Nazareth, and the Yellow Emperor in China are all believed to have left no bodies upon their deaths. Enlightenment without remainder may be the basis of ascension stories throughout history. Chinese legends say, when a great master achieves immortality, he casts no shadow, he appears and disappears at will, and ascends to heaven in broad daylight.
One of the things that happens when a great teacher dies is that there are often phenomena, things that impress their disciples as to the degree of holiness of that person. And so in some of the Tibetan traditions, there is a phenomenon, let's put it that way, that is called the rainbow body, in which the body of the deceased manifests light phenomena after death. Often it takes the form of rainbows in the sky. You're talking about the body that begins to dissolve its material substance into light, into light, into light, into light, into light.
In 1998, an often repeated story emerged once again from a village in the remote Kham region of eastern Tibet. It is said that a rainbow appeared one day above the cabin of Khenpo Achos, a devout Lama who had continued to practice and teach Buddhism despite the severe restrictions of the Chinese government. He was in his 80s but not sick. Nevertheless, he lay down on his bed, began reciting the Tibetan mantra Om Mani Padme Om, and died. Shortly after, the nuns, monks, and others who studied with him began the Tibetan Buddhist prayers that accompany death. They noticed that Khenpo Achos's skin began to turn soft and pinkish. His students hurried to another Lama to ask about this, and he told them to cover the body and continue their prayers. They placed a thin yellow monk's cloak over him, and as the days passed, they saw his body was shrinking. By the end of the week, the students reported, nothing remained. Khenpo Achos had apparently become what is known in Tibetan Buddhism as a rainbow body. The story spread through Buddhist circles. Many realized that the miraculous event had implications for Christianity. They believed if we can establish as an anthropological fact that what is described in the resurrection of Jesus had not only happened to others but is happening today, it would put our view of human potential in a completely different light.
even if we were to think of it as ultimately explainable by some form of physics that has not yet been devised, or something in quantum physics, you can give all kinds of explanations, but certainly it's a paranormal phenomenon. It's not something that happens every day, and it does seem to have a connection to spiritual practice.
In China, many great sages and alchemists are also said to have left empty graves after death. In Asia, the highest level of meditation has always been known as enlightenment without remainder, in which the physical body has dissolved into pure energy.
To the point where their body and mind are engaged in spiritual practice and mystical illumination habitually, every microsecond of the day, it is highly likely that their body-mind complex will do unusual things at the point of death, whether that means preserving the body from decay, as occurs in the incorruptible saints, whether it's a manifestation of stigmata, manifestation of other internal symbols on the bones or organs of the body, as has been seen in some Catholic saints, or whether it's going to be these phenomena of dissolution, shrinkage, or complete disappearance. It all depends on how that person has engaged with spiritual practice, such that everything that you are is in the process, in the practice. And I think that that's what this is all about. The spiritual practice is really about a total engagement of every last atom in your body.
The goal of life is to discover who we really are. At the highest level of meditation and yoga, we see our original face, and this enables us to enter the Tao and fully discover who we have always really been.
What we're talking about, in terms of spirituality, in terms of the body, in terms of enlightenment, is we're making the claim, along with all the great historical traditions, that the something more that we are already, the something more that we can realize in our bodies, cannot be restricted merely to a vast complex of desires which will come to an end with our last breath. Khenpo Acha, this Tibetan monk out in his little hermitage in eastern Tibet, breathing his last with the words Om Mani Padme Hum, and then dying. And then his face turns into the face of a little child, pink and more alive than the 81-year-old man who said his final mantra.
Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum.